To the surprise of no one with an interest in Formula One, it has been announced that Nicholas Latifi will drop out of Williams at the end of this season. Latifi's place in top sports is due in no small part to the wealth of his billionaire father, Michael, whose company, Sofina Foods, is a major sponsor of Williams. Given the colossal amounts of money required to compete in motorsports, let alone F1, wage earners have existed as long as there have been cars racing against each other. There have been good, average, and downright shameful drivers. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we list some of the worst paid drivers in F1 history. Let's start with Nicholas Latifi. The Canadian had a reasonable junior career and was runner-up to Nick DeVries in the 2019 Formula 2 Championship, so his graduation to F1 was not a complete injustice. However, it is a measure of his lack of pace that he is best known for his iconic nickname, Go Tifi, among fans and for the crash that ushered in the infamous safety period at the title-deciding 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. A teammate is the best gauge of a driver's speed, and Latifi has been far surpassed by all his teammates in F1. Granted, he had stiff competition with George Russell and Alex Albon. Although Latifi was out of sorts, at least he came across as a likable guy. The same cannot be said for Nikita Mazepin, whose character was questionable even before his first race after a video of him groping a young woman appeared on social media. Haas defied calls to fire him mainly because they needed the money they received from his father Dimitri's company, Uralkali. Mazepin also had a habit of regularly throwing the car off the road, leading to the nickname Maza Spin. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Mazepins, Dimitri has close ties to Vladimir Putin, were promptly expelled from the sport. Let's go back to the 1990s, when there were many poorly paid drivers. This was mainly due to the many small teams with small budgets that desperately needed drivers who could pay their way. Arguably the worst of all time was Jean-Denis Delatraz, who drove for backmarkers Larousse and Simtek. Delatraz made his F1 debut at the concluding 1994 Australian Grand Prix, a race made best known by Michael Schumacher securing the driver's title by colliding with Damon Hill's Williams. As Schumacher and Hill battled for the lead on the streets of Adelaide, they had to pass a moving green roadblock from Delatraz's Larousse, which was driving nearly 9 seconds slower. Hilariously, at one point in the race, Delatraz was penalized for speeding down pit road, which earned him a stop-go penalty. When he pulled away later in the race, he was an astonishing 10 laps behind the leaders. Incredibly, that was not his only appearance in F1. His family's deep pockets came in handy again when he joined Pacific, another team with little money, the following season. For a race in Portugal, Delatraz qualified an incredible 12 seconds behind pole sitter David Coulthard and fell back to a similar pace during the race before reportedly retiring after feeling unwell. After 5 races of staggering ineptitude, he was dropped for the final 3 rounds of the season when his money ran out. Pacific boss Keith Wiggins said at the time he was at fault and based on his abilities alone, we are not prepared to keep him. A modest junior career mattered little to Alex Yoong. After all, he had the financial clout of a Malaysian public company behind him. Someone with that kind of clout immediately made him attractive to Tiny Minardi in the early 2000s. Yoong made his F1 debut at the 2001 Italian Grand Prix. Some chancer named Fernando Alonso was his teammate. The Minardi duo qualified on the back row, with Alonso 1.5 seconds faster. Yoong got to lap 44 before spinning. After Alonso left for Renault, where he would win 2 world titles, Yoong was joined at Minardi by another superstar, Mark Webber, who outperformed his Malaysian teammate at every race. Yoong was fired at the end of the season for not receiving the sponsorship money he had been secured with. It marked the end of a short and scoreless F1 career. Who would you add to this list? Tell us in the comment section below.